Hello, how's everybody doing this week? This is Charles Tank Harris again with the LoseItWithMeblog.com, episode 2. So it's been a week. I hope everybody out there who looked at last week's video is tuning back in this week to see this week's video and just take a chance to hear my progress. Visit the Facebook page, put any comments that you may have on the page, and as I said last week, just experience this journey with me. I'll be looking off to your left, my right, throughout the course of this video as I look at my notes, because I've started keeping notes on various things. A lot of them are posted on the page, such as my daily intake of food and my daily output in the gym. And I wanted to this week kind of fill the audience in on the various things that I'm attempting to do as I'm attempting to do them, so that once again you can follow along and lose it with me and do these things in your own life. And there undoubtedly will raise some questions as to the methods that I'm choosing to do. But as I said in the previous video, I believe in a journey like this, whether it's weight loss, whether it's battling an addiction, whether it's just corrective action for habits that you have in your life, there are going to be instances where things are specific to you and your situation. They're going to be tailor-made to you. And whereas input is always welcome and encouraged, you individually have to have the strength and the intestinal fortitude to determine what information is helpful to you and what information isn't. And sometimes it's going to be nothing more than trial and error. You'll hear great things, you'll attempt those things, you'll see that they don't work for you. I'll give you a quick example. I don't know, I'm big, so I'm blocking out my backdrop a little bit, but I'm in sunny Las Vegas right now. I travel a great deal. Those of you who know me intimately know that. Those of you who don't, I travel a great deal. So I'm in Las Vegas right now, and whenever I go on the road, I always find it challenging to maintain a healthy lifestyle for several reasons. A, the temptation to eat anything and everything that I want is always prevalent and present. And secondly, exercising. This is one of the things I really want to harp on in this episode. Once again, everybody is different. I posted on both my Facebook page and my personal page before I came to Las Vegas that I was asking those people who I know who are in Vegas or who have been to Vegas if they could help me find a chain gymnasium like a LA Fitness, Anytime Fitness, 24-hour Fitness, because it has been my experience that the hotel gyms, especially the treadmills, which I love to use a treadmill, I'll get into that in a minute, they don't accommodate me. I'm 470 some pounds, and I think that's hard. It's definitely hard for normal to slightly overweight people to grasp that concept because everything is geared towards you. So, something as simple as going and walking on a treadmill, I step on the treadmill, and if they're not industrial strength treadmills, the belt skips the minute I step on it. And someone would say, then just don't use the treadmill, use this. That once again goes back to what I was saying about the individual choice. For those of you who don't know me, and hopefully we build up this dialogue, I'm a very meticulous person. It's in my DNA, it's in my background, it's in my education. And although I do believe that there is nothing ingrained in us that we can't adjust, adapt, or overall change, we're starting from a point of habits that are ingrained in us, and ingrained in us, excuse me. And we have to start gradually, that's my belief, gradually changing these habits. Extreme changes are the ones that have the harder time sticking because they're extreme. When we gradually change one little bit at a time, those changes, A, they're less noticeable to us psychologically and physically, but more importantly, they're easier to build upon the previous stage change to make substantial change after a bit of time. As you notice, I have a towel with me. I'm sweating quite a bit, just got out the shower. I normally sweat when I get out the shower because of the change in temperature from hot to cold, or less hot. So I'm sitting here with this towel, and you'll see me dab myself from time to time. Don't take umbrage. So back to the treadmill situation. I use a treadmill routine that I got from, I forget the gentleman's name, but his exercise and diet program were called Fit for Life. And like I said, there will be many things that I take bits and pieces of to tailor make for Tank. One of the things that I loved about his exercise program and book was this intensity training idea that he had, which is basically saying anything that you do exercise-wise, there's a level 1 to it, which is no effort to you at all, and there's a level 10 to it, which if you do this, you can't do it for long or you'll die because it's level 10. And I think a lot of people, whether they're in great shape, marginal shape, or horrible shape, don't embrace the concept of level 1 through 10. And I say that because a lot of times I'm in the gym on cardio equipment and the person next to me is on the phone. I find this to be one of the most ignorant things you can do in the gymnasium for two reasons. A, as an athlete, a former athlete, I should say, I was always taught to focus on what you're doing. If you're there to work out, you are not there to have a conversation on the phone. It's one thing to distract your attention watching TV or listening to a video, but to hold a conversation which requires mental capacity from you to respond to other people's comments, to me is just, if you're doing that, you're not working hard enough. So, that's my little vent on that, and we'll move on. I digressed. But with that in mind, when you're on the cardio equipment, to me, it's a great way to gauge exactly what you're doing, what your level 1 is to your level 10, and then to build on it and say, I was able to do this as level 10 last week. I want to be getting in better shape, so my level 10 this week should be a little more difficult. The treadmill is what I use to gauge that. So my treadmill routine right now as it stands is as follows. I put the incline on 10%, and my level 5, which is what the workout starts at, is 2.5 miles per hour. It's my warm-up. You do that for 2 minutes, and then you go into 4 intervals of levels 6, 7, 8, and 9. For me right now, level 6 is 2.7, level 7 is 2.9, level 8 is 3.1, and level 9 is 3.3. You cycle through each of those 4 times, so that's 16 more minutes coupled with the 2 minutes at the first. That's 18 minutes of your workout. In the 19th minute, you go to level 10. For level 10 for right now for me is 4.0. At 4.0 on a treadmill, I have to run. Some people who are in much better shape, 4.0 is still a warm-up. It's a light walk. For me, I'm running at 4.0. So now I'm running, and I'm running at a 10% incline. So I do the level 10, and then I go back down to level 5, which is your warm-down minute. For me, it's at 2.5. So that's my workout. What I've been doing this past week, though, for my first 4-minute interval, I do a little more aggressive 6, 7, 8, 9. I go 2.8, 3.1, 3.4, 3.7. Because what happened was when I first started back working out last week, I wanted those to be my 6, 7, 8, and 9. I started it. I got through the first 4 minutes, and I realized that if I kept it at that, I wouldn't finish the 20. This is another thing I'll talk about, differences between individuals. When I work out, when I'm trying to do anything that's an improvement, working out, learning a language, anything, I need success. I need to finish what I did with a modicum of success to say I did this, I didn't fail at it, and now next week I can go gradually a little more difficult and succeed at that. There are other people who have a completely different train of thought. They work out to failure. My best friend does that. He works out to failure. He wants to not be able to complete the last rep of whatever exercise it was that he's trying. And then he says, okay, that's the one I have to shoot for the next time. Neither of us is wrong and neither of us is right. It's what works for each of us. I like to build on successes. It's my personality. He likes to challenge himself, and if he has a failure, it gives him something to shoot for the next time. So for me, when I first started that treadmill workout, some people would say, well, you should have stayed at the higher levels and just not been able to make the 20 minutes. That's not me. I want to finish the 20 minutes. If I'd had to reduce it even further, I would have done that to finish the 20 minutes. So now I know I've just got through my first complete week of working out. This is a day off because I do 3 days on, 1 day off. So I've done 3 days on, 1 day off, 3 days on. That's my first 7 days. This is day 8. It's a day off from exercise, thank God. And tomorrow I go back. Well, tomorrow what I will be doing is adding 1 minute into the second 4 minutes at the higher 2.8 instead of 2.7 until I get to a point where I can do more. And that is the whole point of this journey. And that's the whole point that I relayed back to the first video I shot. Whereas most people would have looked at that video being shot 3 years ago, looking at me relatively the same size, and all they would have taken from that was the failure of, after 3 years, he didn't improve. I looked at it, I have a very positive outlook on life. I looked at it completely different. I looked at it as, okay, as Henry Ford said, failure is only a way to realize that you can more intelligently begin again. And that's what I'm doing this go around. I am more intelligently beginning again and realizing I don't want to do something so drastic that I can only do it for 3 or 4 months and then I quit and you guys don't hear from me again for another 3 years. I want to build smaller successes that are sustainable and that actually become my lifestyle. Because looking back over that last 3 years, had I did 1/3 of what I set out to do per day over 3 years, I would have obtained the same goal 3 years later that I was looking to obtain in 1 year. Time will always pass. We can't stop time. So there's going to be a time that you look back on your life and say, hey, I set a goal for myself. I didn't achieve it, I'm still in the same position some 20 years later, and it could have been achieved had you not set such a finite goal and such a finite time frame on that goal. If you would have gave yourself the ability just to say, I'm going to implement this belief and let my life dictate the result, then years later you would realize that success. So that's what I'm doing now. So when I start out on my journey, like I did 3 years ago, I list what I call priorities. And I use the word priority because, once again, I'm not sentencing myself to something that if I fail to do it, then I have to say that the whole project is a failure, because I'm very much an extremist. And if I fail at something, I scrap everything. I don't just scrap the part that failed. So I have to set it up to be where these are priorities. They're not drop dead demands. And the priorities for me when I first start off are very, very simple. And I look over to my right to read my list of what order I put it in this time. First priority is to drink at least 1 gallon of water a day. The second priority is to drink no calories, except for the exception of protein shakes. And the third priority is no eating after 8 p.m. And I think I touched on that in the last video, but those were last week's priorities. Every week I add a priority, and this week's priority is 20 minutes of working out 3 times a day. Well, if you're paying attention, I've been working out all week. So the priorities don't limit what you can do. You can do more. I've been watching what I ate all last week, although none of the priorities that I listed said anything about restricting calories, not eating fried foods, but I did all those things just because it's not hard for me to do it, and I did want to see some quicker success. There were things that I had to fix right away, as I shared in the last video. Soreness when I wake up, overall fatigue. These are things that I want to remedy right away. I'm not so much concerned about the weight number, as I told you. I'm not going to weigh myself again until November 1st. I'm more concerned about being a little more flexible, being able to wash my own feet in the shower, being able to tie my own shoes, being able to walk long distances and still be able to talk when I arrive at my destination. So these are things that are making me try to expedite the process, but I'm not doing so in such a way that I'm putting such heinous demands on myself that I will not be able to reach a level of success here. So with that being said, if you looked at the exercising that I've been doing, I've been starting out with very light weights at very high reps. I do 20 reps of every set that I do. And I go into the gym and I work opposite muscle groups. So on Monday of the last week, which was day 1, I did chest and back. I did 2 chest exercises, 2 back exercises, 4 sets of 20 with each exercise, very, very lightweight. The next day is legs, and the third day is arms and shoulders. Then you take a break, and washing your hair, you wash, condition, rinse, repeat. So I'm doing that, and I will continue on that for about 6 weeks. Now, something that experience has taught me, and one of my former teammates at Temple, my captain, Ray Haynes, shout out to Ray Stroh, commented on my Facebook page. I was talking about adding kickboxing because I want to do kickboxing. But I went to a kickboxing class, and I was able to do 2 minutes of it. This was probably last year. And once again, going back to what I alluded to earlier in the video, I don't like to fail. So I saw that right now in this current shape, kickboxing isn't for me. There are some people who would say, go do the 2 minutes, and then go back next week and do 3 minutes. Go back next week and do 5 minutes. If that's how you get down and what works for you, embrace that and do that. It's not what works for me. I need to know that when I walk into that class, I can finish an hour. So for me, I have to lose weight by other means. I will hit a plateau. I will get to a point where what I have been doing isn't working as efficiently as it had worked. Time to tweak. Maybe that tweak is kickboxing at that point. Maybe it's not. Maybe kickboxing is later on. Only you know that. So that's the premise behind how I formulate my exercise process. It is a lot of tinkering. I'm not a trained physical, a educated, schooled physical trainer. I'm Charles Harris, and I'm doing what works for Charles Harris. But I will say this, most trainers that I've ever met, none of them weighed 470 pounds. So it's very hard for me to subscribe to what they're saying when they don't know what I'm going through and how I deal with things. I was telling a friend of mine, I used to think I had a food addiction, and I'm not 100% sure I don't, but I'm almost sure I don't. I just think I like to eat, like most people, but I'm very, very extreme in everything that I do, so the food side of things is also a very extreme issue for me. I worked in an industry where I was around food a lot, free lunches at very nice restaurants or catered events, and the food was always delicious. I would always find myself, the minute I walked into the room, focusing on the sandwich tray or the donuts or whatever was going on instead of what the speaker was talking about. And I would look around the room to see if it was just me, and most of the time it was. Like most of the time everybody else is ignoring the fact that the food is there, and I'm like, well, I'll get to jump on these cats and get this food because they're not paying attention, they're slipping. And I realized the same way I don't really like to drink alcohol and I hate smoking cigarettes or being around smoke, I can't relate to a person who smokes cigarettes a pack a day. And I can't walk up to that person and say, yo, man, this is stupid, stop smoking. I'm sure most people who smoke have tried to quit because they know the health risks involved in it. It's not that simple. So by all means, my well-shaped friends, don't think that people who are heavy like myself haven't thought, hey, I would like to not focus on all the hamburgers and the hot dogs at the cookout and, go over there and play spades first. It's something that we think about, but the hot dogs and the hamburgers are quite delicious, and that's how we get down. So it's a situation where everybody's picadillos or idiosyncrasies suit that person, and they manifest in that person's life. For me, I've succeeded in a lot of areas in my life. I really haven't succeeded. My mouse and my iPad just went down for the count. I haven't succeeded in the weight loss area, which has also now bled into other areas of my life, and that's when it became, once again, important enough for me to do something about it. So with all that being said, I'm trying to keep these videos to under 20 minutes. I'm at 16 and a half right now, so I'm going to basically start to sign off. But what I want to say is every week, as I said before, I will start to share more and more of what I'm doing. Also try to get some helpful tips to those of you who are following along with me. Share a little bit more into the foods that I'm eating, the traveling that I'm doing, the gyms, the workouts. I'll even get to a point where I'm showing examples of certain workouts. I want to be as open of a book as I can be to be helpful, but also for myself, because I go back, if not one person ever watches any of these videos or chimes in, I am keeping a mental and physical record of what's going on in my own life. And for me, it's something that I can always look at, be an example for my children as to what a work ethic is, whether it's weight related, school related, job related, relationship related, to be able to have something that you can put your mark on and stick to is more the purpose behind this. So once again, I love you all for checking in, and I hope that you continue to stick it out with me. If you're trying to lose weight along with me, come on, give me some information as to what's going on with you on my Facebook page. That's on Facebook, it's loseitwithmeblog.com. I don't really know, and I said that last week, so I promise next week I'll know how to tell you whatever the URL address is. But most of you guys who are seeing this are seeing it because it's on Facebook. Some of you are seeing it from YouTube. You can find it. I'm Charles Tank Harris on Facebook, as well as the loseitwithmeblog.com page. Thank you for tuning in. I think I spent more time looking at myself on the video screen instead of looking directly at the camera. That's a mistake I will not make again. I'm going to put a little sign up there to let myself remember to look straight ahead at the camera, so you're seeing my eyes instead of seeing me look down. But I appreciate you stopping in. Keep up with me. I appreciate your support. We'll need your support in the future, and I encourage you all to lose it with me. Thank you very much.